So welcome to Chancellor Belinda Hutchinson, Sydney University, an iconic part of our city, increasingly ambitious to expand its operations in Western Sydney, although as most people might not understand, have been a long-term player in Western Sydney, not only educating at Westmead, but with landholding and Lidcombe previously also, and with land holdings out near the airport significantly as well. So welcome to the Digital Dialogue, Chancellor, and amidst this crisis we're in, there has been some significant local issues, but let's go global first. You're Chancellor of one of the Sandstone universities, significant exposure to international Chinese students and other foreign students. The ongoing diplomatic niceties between Australia and China. Where do you think all of this in a post-pandemic world leaves Australian international education?
Well, it's certainly been an interesting week this week and over the past couple of years in terms of Australia-China bilateral relations. So I actually think we need to put it in a longer-term context. You think about Australia, we have been an open trading nation for over 30 years, and that's actually built the economic prosperity of this country. And if you think about Australia and China, 35% of our exports go to China, and the majority of our imports come from China. So I sort of see us as inextricably linked, and I don't actually think there's any way, some basis on which we can go back. And then I look at the University of Sydney, and as you said, we're right in the heart of it. Actually all universities around Australia are right in the heart of it, because over the past, several decades, we've looked to diversify our income in terms of funding our research, and that comes largely from international students and largely from Chinese students. So we've built, I think, a very impressive export industry in terms of $38 billion a year now.
Wow.
In terms of export earnings. So again, I don't think that's going to change overnight. And the good news is, do you think
the commentariat's overthinking the fight, the diplomatic fight between Australia and China? Is it a robust enough relationship to withstand a couple of bad days, or should we be more concerned about the long-term implications of this and the call for an independent inquiry at Wuhan and a Chinese reaction?
I think it's going to be wobbly. I think it is going to be wobbly. I think it's being played out in a very wobbly manner in the newspapers, and probably diplomacy is not best played out in newspapers. So I think, we will have our troubles, but I think fundamentally Australians understand that China and Asia are our key trading partners. And that is not going to change.
Does government understand better now the education contribution? Does it understand more the hard way that the whack to our foreign earnings that's happened as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah, I don't think people have really understood, the university sector and how we have become such a major export earner. I think we've tended to, basically have our light under a bit of a bushel in terms of not actually talking about what we do. We are a very, very substantial contributor to the Australian economy. The numbers are around 150 billion a year. We have 250,000 people directly and indirectly employed because of the higher education sector. So I think we've probably got a messaging thing to do, which is to get out there and tell the community more about the importance of what we do. I think they understand the importance of what we do in terms of educating our best and brightest and bringing, sort of a knowledge nation into being and providing for economic prosperity. I think they know less about our research capacity, and I think they know even less about our international students. So there's some messaging to do.
While we're moving towards easing of social distancing restrictions, etc., across Australia, it would be the common view that the last thing that we're opening up are international borders. Are you a little concerned that international tourism and education will be in some ways the sacrificial lamb of this, or are you hopeful that the long distance opportunities, in a way it's very hard to have your holiday from China. You can actually consume your education. Do we concerned seems to be the lack of take-up of students for the online offering internationally?
Actually, we've had a much better outcome than we expected in terms of our students taking up online learning. And actually, it was very encouraging for this first semester that a lot of our international students were able to come to Australia. Now, obviously, we're concerned about second semester because new students won't be able to come in. And then obviously the key pinch point for us will be the first semester of 2021. But it's really encouraging to see, first of all, the number of students who've taken up online learning and seem to be very actively and positively engaged. But the second thing that's been very positive for us and encouraging is we're still getting the applications in from the international students.
But the big dollars are in them coming and with family visit. I've heard some talks in recent days, some ambitious plans to push for a forensic approach to bring foreign students in, to provide a special exemption type thing, maybe before tourists, that we do let the special scripted students back in. And I know that's starting being knocked around amongst the big universities, and I, for one, think it's a great idea. I should, conscious of your time, maybe drag it down from the global to the local. Yeah. I mentioned before the wonderful plans that Sydney Uni has been prosecuting to ramp up its operations for a full new campus at Westmead North in the Heritage Precinct of North Parramatta. Not only not just the continuation of the medical school you've had operating with Westmead for many years, which I think many people don't know about, but it's a big ramp up. There's been a frustration amongst all of us that has taken a while. Your Vice-Chancellor, Michael Spence, has championed the project with you, has announced he'll be off to London at the stage of the end of the year. We're getting a little nervous about these protracted negotiations. Do the people of Western Sydney have more confidence or less now that we will soon see a deal between the New South Wales Government and the university to make this a reality?
Chris, we are really excited about this opportunity for the University of Sydney, and it's not just a Michael Spence opportunity. It's very much seen as the university as a whole. Wonderful. The Senate of the university is very supportive of this. And as you mentioned, the university has been a key partner at Westmead since the very beginning. You know, over 40 years ago when Westmead started, it was our medical faculty that was front and centre working with the state government to design and develop that hospital. And we currently have over 1,100 staff and affiliates working out there, and we have 2,200 students already there. So for us, it's absolutely the logical next step for us in terms of our expansion, and we're better than the heart of Sydney. So we are in negotiations with the state government at the moment, and we have been for some time. We are hoping that we'll continue those negotiations to come to an outcome whereby we get our foot on the land just around Parramatta River, which will be a wonderful campus for us. And we've got fantastic plans, and we've got a whole bunch of academic themes around digitisation, around AI, around advanced manufacturing, around power and inequality. I think it's going to be a really exciting new campus.
And the urban renewal potential, working with people like Darebin with the jail and the old urban growth land at the Cumberland Hospital site, the heritage buildings there. Remarkable potential adaptive.
And I think the government understands our plans, and I think they're supportive. I think one of the big issues for us all coming out of COVID-19 is going to be financing, and both the state government and the university are going to be under pressure. But my hope is that we'll come to a landing on getting this land set aside for the university, and then we can start a phased development. So by 2050, we'd be looking to have 25,000 students on that campus. Well, we'd be looking to have 20,000 new jobs created. Wow. We'd be looking at having a $13 billion contribution to the state. So huge. There's a lot.
We are unashamedly in your corner. We have. We'll continue to work with the state government to make it a reality, because we do not intend to look a gift horse in the mouth. And as an 8-year director of WSU, as a former almost graduate, not almost, 1 year of economics law doesn't get you a degree at Sydney Uni, but as a connection of both, there's nothing I can think of that's a more exciting opportunity for us. So we'll continue to push that, and good luck and Godspeed in the negotiations.
And we really thank you for your support too, Chris. So thank you.
That's what we're here for. We're outside the university. You also have a distinguished record, formerly chair of QBE, on the Qantas board, the Talus board, and other global boards, and particularly philanthropic investment boards, like the Future Investment Global Board. We're going through a massive period of transformation. It's not only economies that are being affected, but the way we live our lives as parents, as citizens, what else. the lobbyist in me says never let any opportunity like this go past without a good chance for reform. The sort of things that might get through that normal business as usual would never see politics or business accept those type of reforms, like the amount of agility we've all shown to get online as quickly as we did with it. Apparently we couldn't increase New Start. Well, apparently we can. We couldn't get online. Well, we did. If you had your druthers through a business or government sort of policy or societal change, what's a big reform agenda you'd like to see that special circumstance allows for not just incremental change but revolution in some areas?
Look, I think there's been a lot of talk about tax reform, industrial relations reform, regulatory reform, all of those things. And I think we need to do all those because, to be honest, they've been put in the too hard basket. And I'm hoping that this National COVID, Coordination Commission that Nev Paz, is the ex-CEO of Fortescue, and David Thodey, who's the ex-CEO of Telstra, will be able to really deal with some of those issues. But I think there's also some longer term objectives that we can look at. And the one I really think we've got to focus on is research and development in this country. We do
value add economy.
Exactly, the advanced economy, the knowledge nation, all of those things. And I look at the university and I look at our contribution and other universities around Australia to COVID-19 and the response. We had Eddie Holmes, who's one of our key professors, be part of the international team that did the sequencing of the genome of the COVID virus. And that's absolutely critical if you are going to have treatments and vaccines developed.
You got to know it to beat it.
Exactly. And then we've had other really great examples of, Patrick Brennan, who's another professor, coming up with a new AI using CT scanning methodology whereby he and his team have been able to teach others to actually look at the lungs of seriously ill COVID patients and detect their deterioration much, much more quickly. So there's just so many examples where research at universities can really make a difference. And the university is looking at quantum computing. We look at a whole range of things around robotics, AI, as well as medical and health research.
Sounds like I should have finished that degree, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should. And what we need to do? We need to invest more in that, and we need to form better partnerships with government and business in things like R&D tax credits, further R&D incentives. I think there's just a huge opportunity.
Well, you are a living, breathing public-private partnership, and you're working from business in the university, so it's a great example. Just in closing, we're living a different life at the moment. We're talking like this. Last time I saw you was in the university grounds, and not possible nowadays. You'll have spent plenty of time watching those Swans kick the ball around. There was time you could have spent watching the Eels play, but everyone's allowed one indulgence. When the restrictions are lifted a little further and away from work, what are you dying to do? Is it a movie to get to? Is it a favourite restaurant, a travel destination, a walk through the national parks? When the isolation lifts, what's you and your family's first thing to tick off the list?
Well, I've got to say, I think we're pretty lucky in Sydney. We live in a great city, and even being in isolation, we can still go for a walk, along beautiful beaches, along beautiful pathways.
Just can't stop.
You just can't stop. But so I think we've been very fortunate. I look at people who are, living in London, New York, and Wuhan and other places, and I go, I know where I want to be in that city. But I guess one of the things we've had to give up is we were all, as a family, going to go to Hawaii. My youngest daughter married a fellow from Hawaii, and she's got a young baby. And so we were going to take the baby back to meet his parents and see all of them. So I'm hoping we can do that trip to Hawaii, but I'm not sure it's going to happen too soon.
I think it might be, but hopefully not. Hopefully before this Christmas, though, possibly after. Belinda, thank you for your time. Thank you for your personal support, particularly the Westmead campus. That's a tough move and an environment that is fiscally constrained when some of your land holdings and batteries, which have been investment properties, are under a bit of planning threat as well. And with change of management, these things are not easy. This will only happen, I think, with your personal support as Chancellor. So on behalf of Western Sydney, thank you for that. And thank you for the effort you're putting in to remind us all the importance, unlike uneducated bullfeds like me, the important, glad some people are finishing and sticking their time at Sydney and addressing the sort of issues we have in front of us. So thanks for your support for Western Sydney.
It's a pleasure, Chris, and thank you for what you do for Western Sydney. It's a really important part of our university's future. We've already been there for over 80 years in many ways, shape and form, but we're determined to become even bigger and better as part of Western Sydney. So we thank you for your support, and I think you've done okay.
Dr. Brown signing off. Thank you. Stay safe and good luck. Thanks, Belinda.
Okay, same to you. Take care.